What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Locked On Clemson podcast. We have got a special week for you today. Yesterday, we had fifth quarter on as a guest, and today is Tuesday, July 30th, and we are starting a four-part episode series where we have two special guests as we're going through ACC predictions for the season, transfer portal conversations, conference realignment conversations, so much more. So get ready for a special 4 episodes as we start this series this week.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Clemson podcast. We're ready for a great day. I'm your host, John Bivens. You can follow us over on X at I am John Bivens, or at the Tiger Wire at Tiger Wire over on X. Can't wait for another special episode. We are joined with some special guests today. Grateful for their presence, hopping on the pod. So we've got down in the bottom, we've got Anthony Morrow with Richland County Sheriff Department. I like to give that little intro.
Your favorite sheriff's department.
That's it. You might know him if you're an On Patrol Live. I said the name right this time. Usually I say Live PD still, which it's not. But
it is not.
Anthony, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Appreciate you being here. And then over to this way is Michael. He is over with Duke Blue Central. All things Duke over there. Got a great podcast going on. Michael, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. Honored to be here.
I'm grateful y'all are here. So us trio, we did a lot of episodes back when we were the Clemson Tiger Wire over here. But I think I'm locked on since we came over here. Anthony, this is your first time, so welcome to it. And Michael, this is your second. We did the episode with Christian Reeves. He gave us all the insight with him when he transferred over. So let's let the people get to know you a little bit. So let's get some fun questions going. All right. Number one is my favorite question of all time. I love this question, and I didn't tell you about this one. It's my all-time favorite question. You have fingers on your hands, right? You have the 5 fingers. Every finger can produce a liquid, produce some kind of liquid, condiment, drink, whatever you want. What are you choosing as your liquids? You can produce it all the time. I'll go first. You have a little time to think. Water, number one, water. You got water, so I could be like, yeah, go water out. Gasoline. Oh, I'm my own store. It'd be crazy.
Smart one.
Ranch dressing, but not like Hidden Valley. Like we're talking like Buffalo Wild Wings or Hickory Tavern's got some good ranch. Chick-fil-A honey mustard is my fourth one. That's a great one. And then fifth one would definitely have to be cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going with the cherry vanilla, not the standard.
Nah, get that cherry vanilla.
Full sugar?
Yeah, it gets my pinky finger, so it does. So hopefully when it gets sticky, it ain't going to bother me a little bit.
Hopefully that gas doesn't mix around with that ranch you have right next to it.
I was thinking about that. Could you imagine, like, oh, that's not ranch, that's gas.
Yeah. Oops. Just smelled up the whole house.
I'd have to get like a tattoo on each one so I know what it is.
Yeah.
What y'all got? What's your fingers?
You go,
ahead,
Anthony.
Michael.
All right, I'll go first. I have been asked this question by John before.
How many times?
Multiple.
I love it. It's a great question.
I don't know if I've changed my answers a lot. I'm probably. You got to have water on there. That's a boring answer, but you got to have water. And I guess I'll do gas too because it's a good. I'd go gas on the thumb because it's the most isolated.
Like, yeah,
and I'm thinking about. Filling up the car, the thumb feels like it would fit the most. So we'll go gas on the thumb. Rest we'll go water. I'll go cheer wine, like a true North Carolinian I am. Let's see what else we'll do. That'll probably be my drinks. We'll go honey mustard. I like Chick-fil-A's honey mustard. Okay. That's a good one. That's probably my favorite. That's the one that comes to mind. So that's 3. So I got 2 more.
I think that's 4. Water, gas, honey mustard, cheer wine.
Okay, that's 4. So I only got 1 more. Okay, all right. Let's see. What direction do I go another condiment? You
gave one answer one time as a joke, and I don't know if you remember, but it was probably my favorite answer of all time. It had to do with road trips.
With road trips?
Yeah, sticking it out the windows.
Oh. Oh, peeing? Yeah, okay. I'm not yeah, you could say pee. You
Okay.
you could
Make it more convenient for
relieve
you.
yourself on a road trip. I don't know that that's my real answer.
I say you said it as a joke, but I love
It's
it.
really only practical in very specific moments where you it would be except like at my house, how often would I do that? So that's not I might switch it up. I might go for like a cane sauce as that 5 spot, or like if you don't have canes, like a Zach sauce is very similar. Those are my 5 for this time. I've answered that question.
That's a good one.
It might change next time. Who knows?
You said that one time, and I was like, that's smart, because like no commercial breaks, or if you're in a movie theater, you don't have to miss part of the movie.
Yeah, but you still have to. I mean, you got to have a bottle or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
How
it can
mad
be
would you be?
convenient.
How
It
mad
could
would
be
you be if you're
convenient.
driving down the road and somebody in front of you is putting their finger out the window,
their
and
hand
urine
like
splashing
this.
all over?
I will say
But
for
you got
the
the windshield wipers.
for the times, yeah, you use it on your own car. For the times that it would be convenient, it would be wonderful. Like I never have to stop on the road, which would be awesome. But for like the other 90% of the time, it's probably not being used. But
I like it.
yeah,
Good stuff.
those are mine.
Anthony, what you got?
So some people can say mine might be an addiction or a blessing. Would I be allowed to put all 5 the same? Or is that illegal?
So what?
I can explain.
Go ahead.
So,
Please explain.
So I am very much a Dr. Pepper drinker. And if you gave me the option, I might go ahead and put all 5 on one hand.
But what's the benefit of having 5? You fill it up, you drink slightly
I wouldn't
faster.
have to fill it up, right? It's just there.
Yeah, but it's each finger. You could do that with one finger.
You know, you can never have enough.
So you would fill up drinks slightly faster because you could go all 5 at once.
Living with Anthony.
That's all I need.
Living with Anthony for practically 5 years, a little bit of high school, and then all of college. I can. That answer makes sense. That fits.
Dr. Pepper's one of my favorites too. I said cheer wine to throw it back to the roots.
Even if I had all 5 fingers, I still not sure if I'd have enough. You know.
Yeah.
You drive by Anthony.
What's the flow? Yeah. What's the flow of the drink from the finger is the question. Is it a fountain or is it a steady drip?
Nah, you can't do drip, right?
No, yeah, that's
too much.
That would almost be worse than
you got to be able to do something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it up and it just run into the mouth.
Yep. And the first part's like a fountain where it just comes out carbonated water at first.
That'd be terrible.
You got to avoid that.
I appreciate y'all playing along. I appreciate that. So let's jump in. We're going through, and for the next couple episodes here on Locked On Clemson, we're going to be diving into the ACC football predictions of 2024. We're going to be going through each team. Some team will be a little bit longer. Some teams will be a little bit shorter. So we're just going to go through the teams and rank where we have them, rank the order that we have them finishing in the 2024 season. After we go through the rankings, we're also going to hit up in the middle of those. We're going to talk about some topics like transfer portal, conference realignment, what's going on with those. And then after we go through all that, we're also going to go through and give our predictions for some awards at the end of the season, such as Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the best quarterback in the league. So we're going to go through those. And then hopefully sometime after the season is over, we'll come back, have an episode, talk about the results, and dive through the season. So
this episode of Locked On Clemson is brought to you by FanDuel. Guess what, guys? I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. Whew, man, FanDuel has got you covered. FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app, dream up some bets anytime I'm in the mood. I'm telling you guys, it's at your leisure. You can be laying on the couch, twinkling your little toes, and you say, you know what? I want to drop a bet in this bad boy right now. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. Yes, every single day. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sportsbook betting partner of Major League Baseball.
So let's get started. I feel like the best thing, most simplest to go, so we're not talking about 3 different teams at once. I'll start at 17 on my list, and then you can both say where you have that team, and we'll talk about them a little more. Does that sound good for y'all?
Yep.
Sounds great.
Sweet. So my last team in the conference is a new team. I have Stanford finishing in last place this year.
I've got them 16.
All right. So
1 spot above.
Definitely going to be our last ones. One of y'all want to go first talking about them? Any of y'all got anything insightful to say about Stanford?
So I personally, I'm excited to have them. I know I was doing some research on them. It says they had not had more than 4 wins since 2018. So obviously they need to prove themselves that they're back on it. But they've also had great players. They have Christian McCaffrey, Andrew Luck, John Elway. So they've had produced players. So I'm sure it's a matter of time. But I'm excited to have them in the ACC.
For sure. Yeah. I think when you think Stanford, you think a couple years ago, they got some great players. They've had some great alumni go through there. Granted, past couple years not the same, but this year in the ACC, I think moving forward, it'll be great. Maybe not this year, but they'll get back to it.
Yeah, honestly, Stanford, I think, is more of a acquisition for their other sports. Stanford is a really elite school at the kind of like non-profitable sports. So your Olympic sports, your swimmings, your things like that, they're really, really, really good at producing top talent for that. So I think it's nice that they found a home in the ACC. I do think it was kind of just a thing of they were just trying to add whoever they could get, and Stanford was available, so we added them. But yeah, football, they've had their spikes, but not really a history of sustained success. But yeah, I've got them finishing second to last, so I'll give them that.
I think the key for Stanford this year is going to be their defense. Last year, they gave up one of the most points in the nation. They gave up 38 points a game, allowed like 6.6 yards per snap or something like that. Yeah, 6.6. And they're returning per snap. Wow. Yeah. They're returning 7 starters, but when your starters gave up those kind of stats, I don't know how much that really helps you.
Yeah, did you?
On the opposite side, they've got a decent quarterback. Their quarterback's coming back. Ashton Daniels is coming back. But I've heard everything I'm hearing, especially at Media Day, was that they have a freshman guy, Elijah Brown, coming in, pushing him for that starting spot. So we'll see what happens. They do have a really good receiver.
Zach Ertz play there too?
He did. Yeah. I'm a big Zach Ertz fan from the Eagles. I'm an Eagles fan, for y'all don't know. Fly, Eagles, fly. But, yeah. He's not with us anymore. But anyway, yeah, so Stanford, they do have like one of the top returning receivers in the ACC. He wasn't returning ACC, but I think they had Alec Manor, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he's as over 1,000-yard receiving last year. So should be the offense has potential. Defense, not so much. Moving forward, 16th spot. I wish this team was higher. Got a little sweet spot for me. I've got Virginia at 16.
Yeah, I had them at 17. So just switch them in Stanford.
Yeah, and I had them at 16 also.
I really want Virginia to have some success. Obviously, Tony Elliott, head coach, came over from Clemson. What's y'all's opinions on Virginia?
Nothing crazy for them. Just second to last team in conference play. Last year they went 2-6 in the conference, and I don't see much improvement for them this year from last year. So couldn't find a reason to put them any higher.
Yeah, pretty much same thing. Their best player from last year was Malik Washington, wide receivers. He's in the NFL now. So I mean, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know enough about them, and don't know any big names standouts that they got during the offseason.
For sure. They're not a lot to talk to there, but Tony Elliott was one of the tandem offensive coordinators when we won a national championship. And I definitely miss him as our offensive coordinator. Garrett Riley could be turning around this year, but I wish him success for sure. Number 15, I have a little bit different than a lot of people I'm seeing, but I have Boston College at 15.
Yeah, so I had them at 13.
have who are we going with? Boston College?
Boston
Sorry.
College. No, you're good.
I have them at 14.
All right. Michael, you got him the highest. What made you a little bit more in on Boston College?
It's not even necessarily that I'm more in on them. I do think their quarterback situation is a little bit better than some of these other bottom tier teams. They've got a guy, Thomas Castellanos, I believe is how you say his last name, counted for 28 touchdowns last season. I think that alone is enough for me to put them against some of these other teams, like we'll talk about them in a minute, but your Wake Forest is and your Pitts and things like that. I like them a little more than them, probably just because of that.
Anthony, you had them higher than I did too. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they're coming off of a bowl season. They ended up beating SMU, I remember seeing in their bowl game last year. So, I mean, they had a 7-6 record last year. I think they have a lot to build off of. They have a new coach, Bill O'Brien. As you're aware, he had success, not like great success, but enough success in the NFL, especially at Houston. 4 of his 7 years made it to the playoffs. So, obviously, you never know how that's going to translate in the college game, but I think they have a lot that they can build off of. So, I'm curious to see if they'll actually end up finishing better than what I have them picked.
Yeah, I went down with Boston College for the sole reason of Bill O'Brien. Honestly, I don't have faith in the guy. I think Houston, he had some success. Yeah, he had a couple playoffs run, but I don't know, seeing how he managed games, how he managed talent back when Deshaun Watson played for him. And then he went to Alabama, was offensive coordinator there. I think he was like a head coach at Penn State for a year. Didn't have too much success there. I don't have a lot of faith in him. He puts out he has some good quotes out there and some good media moments, but on the field, I don't have faith. So that's why I dropped him down a little bit.
And that's the thing. You might think he's not that great in the NFL, and then college they end up doing like really well. It's kind of weird.
Absolutely.
How coaching goes.
Ain't that like Nick Saban? Wasn't Nick Saban like really bad in the NFL and then obviously one of the best in college?
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't pan out for him in Miami.
That's right. He was hurt. I forgot he was with Miami. But next up on the list, 14th spot in the ACC, I have the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I have them at 15. So
I had them at 14.
So we're all pretty unanimous there on 14. Michael, what you think on Pitt?
No huge thoughts on Pitt, really. I don't have a lot of huge thing. They do have some. They got a quarterback transfer from Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. Also, battling against the top spot with a Penn State transfer. So that looks promising for them, just to get some new blood in that position. But enough for me to put them over some people, but not enough for me to make them jump huge in the rankings.
Anthony, what you think?
Yeah, I don't really have much. Similar to Stanford and Virginia last year, they finished with 3-9 record. Not really shown much recently, so that's why, honestly, one of the reasons that I have them 3 at the bottom, my bottom, is because they don't really have the best record to back up in recent history. So I have them at 15.
Yeah, I think my thing on Pitt is, like you said, not a great year last year. Didn't bring in a lot of help. You talked about the transfer. But my thing is, how fast did they drop off? You know what I think they had some making where they were looking like they were going to be consistent. They were going to be good for a couple of years.
Yeah. Kenny Pickett was there only a few years ago.
That's crazy to me. Kenny Pickett, when he was there, the fake slide in the national or in the ACC championship game, literally one play caused them to make a new rule. What year was that in that conference? Was that 2021?
Oh, I don't know. He's been in the league like 3 years now. So
yeah, 2021.
21. Yeah.
So 3 years later, they went from winning the ACC to now they are in their projected bottom half, 3 wins last year. Big decline
in the conference.
Yeah, so big decline for them. I think that's kind of I don't see that trend changing this year.
No.
It's summertime, and I don't know about y'all, but what that means for me is that mean it is barbecue season. My grill has been going, my smoker has been flaming, the meats have been flying off the grill, and so it's time for you to stock up on all of your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibata. That way you don't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can get both. Fire up that grill, get those meats going. Ibata is a free app that lets you get cash back every time you shop. Earn on the hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibata earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip or that flight that you've been eyeing or even that fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibata, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or even gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is all yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and so much more. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibata by using the code LOCKEDONCollege when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Use code LOCKEDONCollege. Warmer, sunnier days are calling, so fuel up with them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and even Keto. Factor's fresh, Nova frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you always have a new flavor to explore. Crush your wellness goals this July with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. And you can treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, blackened salmon. Head to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box. Plus, you get 20% off your next month. That code is lockedoncollege50 at factormeals.com. So next up for me, I have Wake Forest sitting at number 13.
Yeah, I have them at 15, so I've got them lower than you.
I have them at 13 as well.
Sweet. So far our bottom parts are pretty similar. Boston or Wake Forest for me. Biggest thing for them last year was there was their first losing season in a long time. Like I think since like 2015. So 2 years ago it looked like they were going to be up. They had a couple big wins. But I think I don't see him coming through. They got a transfer from like Louisiana Tech who's going to battle for a starting quarterback job this year. I think they got a good freshman coming in too. So we'll see what happens there. I don't see too much explosive part on their offense to compete with the ACC. So I have them finishing low. They won't be like bottom, but they'll be pretty bottom tier for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot with these lower tier teams, if you have it really separates you from the bottom of the pack if you have a sustainable quarterback situation, which is why I've got some of these teams higher than others. But their QB competition, it's pretty much an open competition in practice, which typically means there's not a guy that's just super talented that's going to grit you to a bunch of wins against middle of the pack schools. So yeah, I'm not super high on Wake this season.
Yeah, mine's a similar thought. I got his name, Hank Beckmer from Louisiana Tech. I did pull his stats though because he originally came from Boise State.
Yep.
I don't know if you knew that. And in 21 he threw for 3,079 yards, and then last year 2,058. So I mean, if he can go into Wake against ACC schools, he should be able to. If he gets the job, which in my mind I think he probably will. He should be able to pull out a couple of games and be able to win some ACC games in the long run.
It'll be interesting to watch. They're another one that kind of, like we talked about, kind of dropped off with Pitt. Kind of looked like they had a promise in a couple of years, especially when we were in college at like late 2010s. But kind kind of falling down now. Next
I
up,
will say real quick on the wait while we're on them real quick. The reason I didn't have them actually higher is because when it came down to transfer, they did not. One, they didn't bring in the best, like a big freshman class, but then they only got 5 transfers. So it's like, how much are you really adding to better the team going forward?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, when you don't have great players and you don't bring in great players, you're not gonna have a great team. So for sure. Next up for me is going to be Syracuse. I have Syracuse at number 12.
Yeah, I have them at 11, just one spot in front.
I also have them at 12.
Anthony, our list is very similar. We have the same list except we switched Boston College and Pitt.
Yep.
What's y'all's thoughts on here? What's your thoughts with Syracuse here?
So I'm sorry, I'm looking at their rankings as well, like where they brought in people. It says Syracuse brought in 2 4-stars, 16 3-stars in the transfer portal. So obviously that's good. I was looking at some notable names. They brought in Kyle McCord from Ohio State, threw for 3,170 yards last year with 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So obviously that's a pretty good ratio.
At Ohio State
standard.
Yeah, against big opponents.
Yeah, not an easy place to play.
So like you're talking about having a good quarterback, bringing him in. If he can sustain what he did there, he should be fine in the ACC. Maybe get Cuse even some more wins than what I have them like projected 12th in my rankings. So they also are bringing back LaQuint Allen, I guess was their running back last year. He didn't do nothing crazy. He did go over 1,000 yards, but if you can get 1,000 yards from your running back and 2 to 2,500 passing yards, you should be able to win some games in the ACC.
Oh yeah, Fran Brown's their head coach, Georgia guy, really good recruiter. But because of that, I think it's not going to be as immediate for Syracuse. I'd look out for them in the future, and I think they have some impressive transfers. Is the whole team going to be good enough to jut them into like a top 8 conversation? I don't think so this year, but we'll see. I mean, if you talk about surprising teams, I mean, look, this is a team who they'll have Ohio State's starting quarterback from last year, and Ohio State was a few plays away from beating Michigan in a regular season game, going to the Big Ten championships, and let's see what happens. So if that works out, who knows where they could be.
Syracuse is one of those teams that, due to the games in the past, I will never throw shade at. I will never come in under ranking them. I always feel like I overrank them just because they've had a lot of games where they either almost upset Clemson or they did upset Clemson. Especially, I believe it was like 2017, we lost to a close game to them. NC State and Syracuse are the two that are like, ugh. But NC State's a little different because now they've progressed into a top tier team in the ACC, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, so Syracuse, that's why I have the middle of the pack. I have them lower down still at 12 because one, like I said, last year's recent, they really have anything to build on. And I don't think they have a lot of players, but it sounds like transfers, recruiting, they've got a couple coming in that could be the foundations with some different coaches. But this year, I think they're going to improve to be a little higher than they were last year because they got a pretty favorable schedule in the ACC. When it comes down to like top 5 opponents, they play 3. They don't play 3 of the ACC opponents' top 5. They don't play Florida State. I'm sorry. And they don't play Clemson. They don't play Louisville. And then SMU is also supposed to be good. They also don't play SMU this year. So to avoid all 4 of those schools in 1 year, I think you got to be happy with that. You got to be all right with that. So I think should have some success. Won't be great. Won't be amazing. So that's why I have them where they are. So that's gonna call it quits for today's episode. Make sure you come back in another episode later on tomorrow as we continue this rankings, talk about some other stuff. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Clemson podcast. Thanks so much for joining us today. Make sure you join our Insider program where you can join all things Insider behind the scenes. Find out so much more by texting Clemson to 864 And then you can go 252-1907, 864-252-1907. Hey, let us know all your thoughts on today's topics. Drop a comment, send us a message on Twitter, send us a text through our Insider program. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on today's topics. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast at, or if you're watching, we'll go over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That way, every single day, this can be your first listen here on the Locked On Clemson podcast. Make sure to check out other podcasts from the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. We can't wait to see you on tomorrow's episode. Until then, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring. And as always, you know what to do. You know what to do. As always, how do we end every episode? We end it this way. Go Tigers.